I was telling Lori that, my wife Lori, that you talk about I forget where we were, somewhere in nature, and looking at, and I'm like, dude, just the creative genius of God,
Yeah.
and the variety of things He created out of nothing.
Yeah.
And the variety of not just the plants and the animals, and every single plant has its own DNA. That's just, the depths of knowledge is just beyond comprehension, and the creativity and the variety of everything is just staggering.
Yeah.
The unbelievable genius of God, incomprehensible genius of God. I remember there was a crime show I watched that really it floored me, where a guy, I think he killed his wife or something, and he went out, and this was, I forget where this was, but this was in the middle of winter or something, and he ran out and he buried the murder weapon by a tree. And then ran back, and there was hardly any. They really needed something to tie him to that weapon, and his boots had mud and fallen leaves from the tree on the boot.
Yeah.
So they actually took the fallen leaves or something from the tree, and they matched it. The every tree has its own DNA, and they matched the leaves on his boot to the DNA that's in the tree, and they could actually connect him to that murder weapon he buried by the tree. Every single plant has its own DNA.
Right.
Stunning to me.
And DNA is not a creation of man; it's a creation of God.
That's right.
Man is just now beginning to
learn about it.
How precise it is.
Right.
I know some people would be critical of this, but I've had the DNA test. It was given to me as a Christmas present one year, and I readily get updates from Ancestry. Because the more research they do, the more they can refine. But they can tell where your ancestors come from,
right,
just by looking at your DNA.
Right. We did the same. Yeah.
It's and of course, when you see the breakdown, they'll tell you, this percentage of, it's English or Germanic or whatever the case would be. And to me, I just find that,
I do too,
fascinating.
Yeah. What is your ancestry? What ethnicity? Where do you guys come from? Do you know?
Well, primarily it says English and Germanic.
I figured that might have been why you just mentioned English and Germanic.
Yeah. They were at the top, and there's some Welsh, and there's some, a few other things in there.
Yeah. We were like 49% Irish. The other half,
I can believe that.
The other half, let's just say the Hayes boys would marry anything.
Yeah.
They had no problem. We married Indians, Scandinavians, we married English.
Yeah.
Well, I would have nothing against having the test. Have not done it because I'd be very interested. But my wife has, in this instance, the big brother syndrome. She's afraid somebody's going.
I don't blame her. There have been rare occasions when Ancestry gave up DNA to help a murder case. I did see that on a 48 Hours episode once. I was like, oh well. And not only that, they have developed the ability to, if you have some DNA of the murderer, but you don't have his DNA in the database because he has no prior crime that he's committed, you can still get down to find the family tree through Ancestry kind of thing, and figure out what the family tree is that this murderer belongs to, and then start going down through it. And it's a matter of a process of elimination until you find who it is. And there was
the key to that whole thing is just don't go murder anybody.
Exactly. Don't even bother. Yeah. There was one story. I'll tell you one more murder story. There was a story where this woman had been killed in her house And it was brutal. And she had she was involved in a relationship with a man who was married. So he was a big old suspect for the longest time. And then, but he had a solid alibi, and it went cold. And for the longest time, they couldn't figure out who it was. So then they started to it was a small town. So they started to ask the residents to just do DNA tests of all the residents in the town, and, you know who did it? The garbage man.
How about
broke
that?
into her house, assaulted her, and murdered her. It turned out to be the garbage man.
Yeah.
And he had a long history, and he was a very kind of psychotic. And yeah, it turned out to be the garbage man. Can you believe that? In any event.
That's what a report looks like from Ancestry.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got a lot of Scottish in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have two different, moms and pops, and so grandfathers and grandmothers, and yet our DNA in the sub ones are very similar.
Now, you guys are cousins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cousin brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How are you connected? I know you've told me this before, but I don't remember.
Uncle Lee and my dad were brothers.
Oh, okay.
So we're first cousins.
So Lee had how many brothers and sisters?
There was a total of 4 of them.
4 of them. Okay. All
There
right.
were 4 of us.
Right. Right.
So there was Uncle Bert, my dad, Uncle Lee, and Uncle Herman, which have
Okay.
all gone their way except for Uncle Lee.
Okay.
95.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I've traced the DNA tree, Ancestry did, but they can tell from DNA that our family moved from Europe to Pennsylvania, and from Pennsylvania to Central Florida.
And that tracks our
That- yeah.
tracks our
Right.
heritage coming from Germany anyway.